Let's do this. You got my joint, though. Can't start till I have my joint. There's my joint. Hey, everybody. Welcome to my joint. Marijuana Man here. This is from Under the Influence. What? Wednesday. Another Wednesday here in Vancouver. It's the Chemdawg days of summer. Hot out there today. We haven't had wildly hot temperatures all summer, but it's cranking today and yesterday. Holy cow. But it can be like that in Vancouver later on in the summer and early on into September. It can actually stay just like this. Kind of why I moved here years ago. Used to live in Canmore, Alberta back in the early 80s. And one time we made a trip from there to California, and on our way through Vancouver, this was early September. Come to Vancouver and the fucking grass is still green and leaves are still green, and Canmore was just about ready to be winter. And we went, what? It's like this here? So I actually went down to California for a couple weeks and came back, and it was just as nice. So I went to Canmore, packed it up, and moved back. Yeah, it's easily the most mild place in Canada when it comes to weather, really. A little bit of rain in the winter, but summers are usually fairly bearable. So imagine the beaches will be packed today, and good. So yeah, a lot of stuff going on out there in the world. Cannabis continues to be a hot topic around the globe and everywhere. They can so many people will talk about cannabis now who never did before. It's the problem. People who have heard of cannabis here now for the first time. There's what? A what? It's a what? No, they go with as little information about cannabis as they can and decide that it's this, that, and the other thing now. So we're just faced with all these idiots who know nothing about it to spew whatever they read that the cops said. No, pretty sick of it, gotta say. Like, it just goes around and around and around. And it's always just people who are trying to take advantage of cannabis. Right? They take advantage of this simple little plant however they choose to. And they've got the advantage here with having had a prohibition on this plant for some fucking 1,000 years or whatever it's been. Since the time of Christ. Or 60 or 100.
100 years.
So that's an advantage to these clowns that want to take advantage of it, because they will continue on the path that cannabis is somehow dangerous and it needs the services of my business to be safe. Right? When you and I know that it's safe already and it doesn't need their guidance. Nobody needs any guidance around cannabis. The only guidance they need is, here, try this. That's all you need to know about cannabis.
It's like a ladder.
Don't take too much if you're a novice. But here, try this. And you will be able to make up your own mind about cannabis. And I'll bet you make it up the same way the rest of us do, because that's cannabis. Poor little plant gets lost in all of this. Nobody even considers what it is or what it's capable of or anything. It's just the propaganda and misinformation that these pricks have put out for fucking, what was it, 1,000 years? Is that what we decided? On and off for 1,000 years.
It was grown in Canada at least 300 years before.
Just feels like 1,000 years.
Feels like.
Doesn't it feel like your whole life? Huh? It surely does mine, like the bullshit, the nonsense, the idiocy that's spewed about this plant and the potential fucking dangers of it all. Oh my God. Here's an idiot thing I saw this morning. Some clown in Toronto is wanting to market a DNA test kit. So that what you do, you send them a fucking saliva swab, and they will tell you which strains to buy. Or which product, even. Cannabis product. But they will tell you which ones to go and buy at this point in the Ontario Cannabis Store Network. Right?
But you know.
The headline said, so that you will avoid a bad trip.
They're guaranteeing this?
They insure. They said they insure. Well, that's what the headline said. I'm not sure if the clown in Toronto, and oddly enough, he was dressed like a clown. Big red shoes and a fuzzy wig and a red nose. But they ensure that you will not have a bad trip. And by bad trip they meant anxiety, paranoia, hallucinations. Because they're going to test your DNA and tell you which fucking strain to buy. Are you kidding me? Here's two things that they don't know anything about. Cannabis strains and DNA. Bullshit that anybody knows by looking at your DNA how cannabis is going to affect you. And that's what they claim. Like, get fucking real. That's what we're up against here, guys, is this kind of fucking nonsense where they would pretend that cannabis needed somehow to be alarmingly forecast as to what's going to happen to you. Are you fucking kidding me? Not a warning anywhere in a liquor store what's going to happen to you. Right? No DNA test to see whether or not you should actually be in there. Is what that would be. Are you fucking kidding me? Of course he's got funding for it all. Some fucking idiot in the LP industry with their billions of dollars to spend is right up there in it. Because some fucking newbie doesn't know anything about cannabis and needs to be told. What they actually need to be told is, this won't fucking hurt you. Here, try this. It won't hurt you. How about that? Isn't that all you need to know? Try this. It won't hurt you.
If you're worried, take a little.
How's it going to make me feel? Well, I don't know.
You feel right now.
Yeah. How does anything make you feel? Have you got a list? Nobody gives a shit about this information, but by him implying that they needed to avert the, your DNA might come back. You're a high risk, it said. High risk. Of what? Idiots. And you're going to send them your DNA? What the fuck are they going to do with that once they get their hands on it?
Just that. Just that.
Eh?
once, and then
Just,
don't worry
yeah,
about
we're
it.
not going to sell it to Microsoft. Scientists. Wish they'd shut up. I really do. Like, they just claim so much stuff here in all walks of things that just don't add up. And quite often they are proven wrong in what they've stood behind the whole time. They had the wrong head on a brontosaurus for 50 years, for fuck's sakes. They just pretend they know everything. Really. It's all theoretical, most of it. So, but this idiot will sell stuff because it'll go into every fucking retail store in the chain, right? Because he's hooked up with the chain of, and more bullshit for the poor consumer to have to endure. But when I think about it in terms of recommending cannabis to somebody, if they in fact need some sort of guidance, the dispensaries that have existed in the world that have done a tremendous job of that. The people who work in the illegal dispensaries actually fucking know something about cannabis. The ones that work in the Ontario cannabis stores are fucking robots. Told what to say, how to say it, make sure you're not high. Are you high? Asking me these questions. You want to spit in what? Where can I leave my saliva to get some cannabis?
What's the thought? Spin on this.
Yeah. Well, just spit in this jar and we'll be right back with the perfect strain for you. We call it Pink Kush. They're ripping cannabis apart, tearing it limb from limb, needing to know everything, and at the end of the day, knowing nothing, coming up with nothing, right? They don't have a fucking clue. Most of them have no idea where cannabinoids are even located on the plant or why the plant would choose to create them. Huh. No scientist is ever coming at it from that point of view. Ever. You go, wow, what kind of scientist are you? You're talking about this substance, this plant, about all of these things, without regarding one bit actually what the reality is. Quite a disservice to our little friend cannabis. It's never done anything. It's always been a political or racist or monetary movement against it. Always, only. Had nothing to do with the plant, ever, ever, ever. Yet, these idiots get to mouth off and say all these things about it that aren't true or have never been proven. Right? This guy even diminished the idea that strains work for certain people in a certain way was just anecdotal. We have to go to your very DNA to make sure you're safe from cannabis. Fuck off. I don't give a shit about DNA. This kid, he's just confused the alphabet. Bad trip has only ever in my whole fucking life referred to LSD. Only. And DMT. Not THC. He's got all the letters mixed up on his little Scrabble board.
I'm getting very high.
On cannabis? Yeah.
But not, I don't know, I'm not so much. It's kind of
Hallucinate?
different
Holy
no matter
fuck.
what, it's not even-
You never, who the fuck would hallucinate on cannabis?
So use it carefully.
I ate a lot of LSD in my life, and I'll tell you, I didn't see too many hallucinations, to be quite frank. I saw things that were there in a different way. Right? But hallucination? With cannabis? Anxiety, paranoia, get those kind of things. Nobody really knows why people get anxiety. Your heart rate increases. Simple as that, I think. That's why you're anxious. Your heart rate has increased because you consume cannabis. You're not used to your heart rate increasing while you're laying on the couch. Because you're always laying on the couch. So when your heart rate increases while you're laying on the couch, you go, oh my fucking God, I'm exercising on the inside. But it's not a life-threatening thing, the little bit of anxiety that you might feel. And I don't know, maybe you're anxious because you're seeing the world in a different light and it scares the fuck out of you. That's what makes me anxious. Paranoid. The cops are coming your whole life. They made you paranoid because you have this substance in your hand. Even in legalization, people are acting the same. They're afraid to have anyone know or see or hear about them consuming cannabis. You go, wow. You could take a case of fucking whiskey to the party. What did I see today? My Facebook page. I fucking hate Facebook. My Facebook page is full of booze. I see so many fucking booze ads littered, one after another. You go, oh my God. What happened to algorithms? I thought you guys were paying attention to me and were going to fine-tune my world around it. But today I saw Crown Royal Peach, which they said was delicious, mixed with iced tea. You go, wow, this is now marketing children's whiskey. This one's for the kids. Like, what the fuck? They're all getting in on it, and it's all looking ahead for the edibles and drinkables, and you don't have to have good weedables. Right? They're all rushing. Every time they come up with, oh, it's the flavonoids now. The flavonoids in cannabis is the key to it all. Because we just discovered them today. We think that's the key. Because we didn't ask anybody. And our machine went beep. But every time they rip cannabis apart and go down the next road of what's the next thing about cannabis, it continues to block the idea of me having a simple fucking nicely grown, dried and cured bud. How about that? Can't we get that at some point? Everybody has to move past it completely, like we have it, because they don't care, because they see the riches and heading out into the flavonoid highway. Fucking idiots. No, that's the wrong flavonoid for you. Gotta check your DNA to see which flavonoid is for you. Come on. It's fucking cannabis. For those of us who have any experience with it whatsoever, yeah, it's pretty fucking weak stuff here in the world comparatively. This ain't fucking fine-tuned, peach whiskey. It's just cannabis. You can only get so high on it. The more you use it, the less it does to you. Right? You don't get the anxiety after a while because you built a tolerance up fairly quickly. Huh. So, you can't just dismiss the idea that You don't build up a tolerance and pretend because you're a newbie or, oh, woe is me, I'm needed a certain way so I can have it today. Well, smoke a few joints and fucking get on board. That's all you gotta do. It's just a stupid little plant that makes you euphoric. Now, initially, as everybody experiences, me too, when I was 14, you get fucking smashed the first few times. It's fucking crazy how stoned you get.
It's a great plant.
But that goes away fairly quickly. Right? The more you consume. It's just a simple little herb. So much is being made of those who are going to be trying it for the first time. We cannabis users have to put up with all this fucking nonsense around the weed that we would like. Everybody's trying to fucking tweak it in every direction that it's worth a penny. Right? So, wow. It's fairly fucking frightening in terms of that. So what else I see? Johnson & Johnson is fucking paying out $572 million over them being responsible for the opioid crisis. Huh. In a certain place. Oklahoma or some fucking place there. I don't know. An isolated place.
Came up with the number, it seems
Like this is bad. It's not just Johnson they're after. They're after Johnson and Johnson this time. Right? They're probably owned by fucking Palmolive or something. I don't know. They're in the big chain of owning everything. But that's and I think the article I read about it anyway suggested that there's much more to come on that front, that every fucking corner of the world is going to sue them for $572 million. But they got that kind of dough. They don't give a shit. They have that kind of dough that they don't care about a $500 million fine. Right? And most of the people who are fined for doing stuff don't give a shit. They pay it and keep doing whatever they were doing. So, yeah, I don't know. The opioid thing is just so suspect. I never see any question about why this is going on as opposed to this is going on. Maybe if you ask the question is why is it going on, you could fucking stop it somehow. But they don't. Journalists forgot that word a long time ago. They never ask why. It's too much fucking work for them to go and ask somebody why. Right? Who, what, where, when. And that's it. But the opioid crisis is very suspicious, to say the least. Why isn't there any heroin? Where did all the heroin go? Anyone? Anyone asking? Not a fucking bit. This other drug has infiltrated that market and it's taken over the substance. That substance is no longer there. Where'd the fucking heroin go? You know where it went? To Johnson & Johnson. And Bayer and Merck and Pfizer and all of them. They bought all the opium in Afghanistan. That's it, that's all. They are buying it all. They don't have enough legally to produce a small percentage of the opioids they produce now. They've been buying illegal opium in Afghanistan since the day, well, long before it was attacked by Bush for them. So they could cover that up. Nobody asked why. Nothing to cover up, really. But What the fuck is going on? So I don't know. If you're going to eradicate the heroin that the people are addicted to and substitute it for a substance that kills them, huh. Guess you don't need heroin users anymore if you don't have any heroin to sell. That's fucked. Frightening in my mind, but I can't make sense of it any other way. Why it's happening. And nobody gives a shit, it would seem.
Well,
Nobody really cares to ask why, to find out what the fuck's going on here and who's responsible for all this shit. If Johnson & Johnson is buying illegal opium in the open fucking market and denying these people the heroin that they have become addicted to, and they themselves having manufactured the fucking fentanyl in the first place, it's now replacing the heroin and killing these people. So if they bought all the opium, it's their fault.
where did you go? I've never heard that before.
What?
That Johnson & Johnson purchased opium.
Well, that's because no one has fucking asked. Right? Where did all the heroin go? If it's not in the arms of the fucking people on the street, and a drug has come through that area of life that is fucking deadly, what's going on here? This makes no sense. They're trying to wipe these people out. All of those addicted to opium, because there is no more for them. It's weird to me. Why would you sell anybody anything that they can die from instantly? And you know it. Who does that? Well, how could you? What the fuck? I don't get it. I don't get it.
That's a lot of medicines.
Well, it's a different world in the fucking black market. Or is it a black market? Maybe Johnson & Johnson's running it. Right? There's so much money in this stuff. But I guess there's more money in opioids that they make out of the opium than there is in the heroin. Because they don't get a cut of that, do they? Right? Now, they got it all. So, I don't know. Grr. Lazy politicians do nothing. Let's have a lottery. Yeah, Ontario, they're getting a bit of flack about their lottery and how it all rolled out. Turns out that companies had entered the lottery 1,000 times at a particular address. Right? Did you read that? That companies were putting in like 1,000 applications for an address. And did that at multiple addresses.
1,000 applications? Well, I mean,
Only costs you $70 an application.
wait, so then,
It's worth millions.
wow.
It is a lottery. It is a cash-in fucking money grab around cannabis. It has absolutely nothing to do with an open and free market in selling a simple herb. Right? How did it, and why would it become a lottery if people aren't taking advantage of cannabis? As they always have. So, a lottery? It's a fucking joke. And it does not serve the cannabis consumer one little bit. We have not figured in their program at all. Not one little bit. There's nothing for the consumer presented here that is anything. Nobody says they're going to grow good weed. Nobody fucking does. They don't. I guess that's why they don't say they are, because they go, hey, you said you would and you didn't. But they're not proud of their product. The product is cannabis, isn't it? You're not proud of it? What the fuck's wrong with you? If I was an LP, I'd be telling you how great my fucking weed is. Because I would be confident that it is. I don't know. It's a fucking bitter pill to swallow here when it comes down to cannabis and what's going on in the world. What the fuck? You just don't know how to go anymore. These evil pricks have fucking just squeezed out as much money as they possibly can out of every aspect of it, right down to your DNA. Oh, they'll sign a deal with DNA Seeds, probably. Spit on the seed. Your DNA will change the genetics into the weed that you want and need. I don't know. I've asked thousands and thousands of fucking medicinal users and recreational users, has any weed not worked for you? If it was well grown and not fucking moldy or, right? And they all sit back and go, you know, no. The weed has always worked if it was well grown. Because it's just cannabis, for fuck's sakes. What are you expecting from it? Like, really, what are you expecting? If you listen to idiots with this DNA box, you now expect hallucinations, for fuck's sakes. You're going to be disappointed, because OG Kush ain't going to give you a hallucination. OG Kush crossed with a sucker born every minute is good, though. So they're just trying to take advantage of people who know even less about cannabis than they do. Look at all the ideas in science that are coming up to research. So about, they always want to do more research because they can't find anything wrong with it. Just continue to look for something wrong with it. So, BC pot sales are the lowest in Canada. What a fucking joke. Once again, nobody's proud of anything. Sorry, I got weed all over my arm. One day I was working in the lounge and a guy came in, and it was at a time in the lounge where we were having trouble being able to tell anybody where they could actually get weed. So that was our spiel, that we didn't know, we couldn't tell them. And he was looking at me funny the whole time. And I said, no, you know, man, you just kind of have to go outside and see. And after he left, I had a fucking big bud stuck to my shirt. Like a fairly good sized bud, too. So, yeah, there's a lot of weed. I would have given it to him, too, had I noticed it. Here, try this. Yeah, lowest in Canada, BC. But it's just judged against what? BC has the highest rate of cannabis consumption in Canada, just because it ain't your weed. Fairly well established out here with growers and a network of supply and demand. Come on. Like, really? It's the heartbeat of fucking cannabis in Canada. And still is. And a complete bungling of the provincial government and everybody involved as to how to present cannabis in our marketplace. And a reluctance on their part to actually have it ever succeed. The NDP government in British Columbia does not want a Liberal campaign to fucking get much ground. How embarrassing is it that the fucking premier of this province doesn't take pride in BC Bud and the potential that we have here, having shown that all these years? Right? Takes no pride in it whatsoever. If I was him, I'd be fucking boasting. And I'd be challenging the fucking Premier of Ontario to fucking come up with the real deal. Right? Why not? You couldn't? Oh, no. No, you can't have fun with cannabis. Well, fuck you and your peach whiskey. See, if you ask why around cannabis, you find out what I know. That it's not harmful or dangerous in any way. In any way.
Probably.
They always say, oh, those potheads are always saying there's no danger just because they want it. What? Well, why in the fuck else would I say it? But you won't even challenge whether or not it's true what I say. Right? You don't even look because you don't ask why. Because you'll find out that you don't need your rules. You don't need your fucking Ontario cannabis stores. And you don't deserve it. No fucking way does any liquor board, in my mind, deserve a penny from cannabis. You've just taken advantage of it. Can you take advantage of us any fucking more? What is it that we've done? Nothing. But cannabis has become a fucking high-priced commodity artificially and immorally. Beyond that, the only reason that it's fucking ingrained in everybody's head that cannabis is a high-priced commodity are prohibitionists. They're happy with prohibition prices because they can make a nickel off it. And higher. They want it. So see, this is the plan here. I can see it happening, is that they're presenting all this crap and having very short supply, and then they're probably going to get better at growing the weed, and the price is going to go up, folks, for just a little bit better grown weed. And it's going to keep going up as they get better at it. They can't wait to give you $100 grams. They're hell-bent for it. Out of the fucking gate. Right? They took what they wanted from prohibition and fucking turned it into gold. Idiots. Pirates. The it being immoral continues. Over a plant that's not worth anything, it doesn't hurt you. What the fuck just happened? People making shit up is good enough for us to do stuff in the face of them making stuff up? It's fucking insane. So the government is useless, should not be involved. They have no fucking business having anything to do with it. But they never asked and looked at this plant. All right, they refuse to do that because they can't do their program if they look at the plant. How fucking stupid is this, that we're allowing these people to not look at a substance that they claim is dangerous? So dangerous. It needs to be grown inside of a prison. Right? So dangerous, yet they won't look at that substance. I expect more from the politician. I would like them to look at stuff. Oh, you'll want to look at that before you make a bunch of regulations around it, won't you? Don't you? In every other walk of life? everyone? There must be some looking at the thing. How the fuck do you do anything in the world if you don't look at nothing? Is that what they're doing with everything? Because they've done it with cannabis. Halifax smokers smoke the most of all Canadians. Yeah, fucking bring it, Halifax. Compared again to what? The fact that BC doesn't have any stores is what that would come down. It only has to do with legal cannabis. Stats Canada has gone berserk with fucking doing surveys about cannabis. Like, oh my god. Every other day there's something released from Stats Canada about what percentage of people are buying from the black market. Are you phoning the same fucking people every time? Are you still buying from the black market? You go, yeah. And we've been lulled our whole lives into believing that a survey means fucking anything. It's a handful of people. How can that be extrapolated to represent the whole? You only do that by math. Math doesn't apply to me. Fuck you. Take your numbers and go away.
Have they done a mass survey where they did the sample and then they did everybody?
No. Ever. They have the nerve to tell you that fucking results of the survey are accurate within plus or minus 4% or whatever they say at the bottom. You go, are you fucking kidding me? You just pulled more numbers out of the air. Prove it. Prove any one of these fucking things that you say. Surveying 300 people don't mean shit. It's 300 people's opinion and that's it, that's all. But policy is made on this, and it has been for a very long time. Because you can skew that number of people pretty easy. And they figured that out a long time ago. I don't know, I've never seen proof that they've actually conducted any one of their surveys. I've never been surveyed. No. But I don't live on a fucking farm with a landline out in the middle of Manitoba either. Who else are they calling? They're not calling cell phones. Those people are so hip, we won't get the right answers from them. Halifax smokers smoke more. Doubt it. Maybe more than Neil. But yeah. What else? There was this story out of, it was in the United States somewhere, a gathering of metal detectorists. That's what they called them, metal detectorists. Those are people who walk around with metal detectors, you know, the metal detectorists. I was sitting in a park earlier this summer, reasonably close to the pathway, I guess. As it turns out, along comes a guy with a metal detector, and it was fucking annoying, is what it ended up being. Yeah, with his beep, beep, beeping, beep, beep and beep. Stop, fucking find a pop can lid. Millions of those. I could just see this guy going home that night and putting the lids that he found today in a big bin of those that he has in the garage. But at any rate, he continued and beeped on by. Moments later, a woman and a fucking several-year-old daughter come walking through, and the kid looks down and goes, "Hey, Mom, look, there's a bunch of money." Just on the edge of his metal detectoristness. She found a bunch of coins laying there on the grass. So, when I was leaving, I took a few coins and I buried them right on the trail for him. And he would get the next time that he came by, just to keep his spirits up. But at any rate, there was a gathering of metal detectorists who were like, who could hear anything with the fucking beeping that was going on at that? But must have been somebody's birthday, because somebody brought a birthday cake, and a dozen of these people then an infused birthday cake, as it turns out, and a dozen of them were rushed to the hospital. Yeah, metal detectorists ravaged by the horrors of cannabis. See? Was no need to take them to the hospital. In reality, they didn't. Of course, these articles do not say what happened to the people once they got to the hospital, other than the fact that they were probably given some juice and they calmed down and went home. And the doctors in the entire hospital would have done nothing for them whatsoever. So, where was the harm? When there was no harm, there was paranoia and anxiety. That's all they really got out of it. Ate too much, not used to it. Oops. Well, the individual maybe should have told them. I don't. Who knows why anything happens, but the metal detectorists. Huh. Well, I assume there are people who walk around with metal detectors. They didn't really say. They could be those people that work at the airport in the metal detecting. Eh? Huh. Why don't they just have those guys from the beach at the airport? Right? Wouldn't that be? They seem unemployed. Hire them up. Beep me up, buddy.
Quite fun too.
Yeah. It is fun.
Like beeps.
One flight, few flights ago, what the fuck, they had made me take my shoes off. So I had brightly colored pot socks on, which all three of the people standing over there stared at as I walked through this time. Yeah. When I used to come out of Amsterdam, go to the Cannabis Cup, working for Cannabis Culture. And I'd come back into Canada and they go, what was the purpose of your visit? Business or personal? And I would say business. And they go, oh yeah, what business are you? And I say, I work for Cannabis Culture. And they go, why did you go to Amsterdam? I went, because I was going to the Cannabis Cup. What do you do for this company? I said, I write stories about cannabis. And he would go, okay, you can go. So I always thought it was magic to mention cannabis 3 times at the border.
Yeah,
And they'll just let you go. They go, oh yeah, if he's going to say the word that many times, he hasn't got any on him. One time coming back from the Cup, you always have a lot of cannabis paraphernalia and cannabis emblazoned things. So, of course, they want to open my bag, and the ladies open my bag. And the very first thing that popped out was a menu from the Dom Kring coffee shop that they'd given me, one of the laminated ones. She said, what's this? I said, well, it's a menu. She set it aside and went through my shit, asking me what everything was when it was obvious what it was. Eventually, she was done with that, and on I went. And when I got home, I pulled out this menu, and there's a big slab of hash stuck to it. So we smoked that up right away. Dana Larson one time sent a postcard back from Amsterdam during the Cannabis Cup. Postcard of Bert and Ernie waving to you. And he taped hashish to their hands and mailed the postcard, which arrived to everyone's delight. Yeah, it was always fun here after the Cannabis Cup whether or not the hash would arrive. As probably everyone who went to the Cannabis Cups over the years did when they got home. Those are always interesting, but Toker's bowls were pretty fucking good too. They were only a weekend, but still, there was a lot of weed. That was the thing about the Cannabis Cup. You didn't get any weed from High Times or whoever was putting it on. You had to go buy it yourself. And then pay lots to get in and shit like that. So it was always an unusual thing for me too, because it was really an American festival. And it really had an overwhelming point of view of them not being free around cannabis, or even taking the opportunity to celebrate the fact that they could have that freedom where they were standing. No one ever kind of celebrated that idea. It was always this, oh, woe is us in the United States. And it's all coming along. But they've instantly let giant business have a wicked hand in how cannabis will go and be presented in my world. And that's never a good sign. Like you'd think in this day and age that people, if they were actually going to do a survey, ask whether or not you would rather have things run by giant corporations or smaller businesses. Just that simple of a question. What do you think? I think people are going to say, oh no, I want a big corporation running shit. Nobody. So why the fuck is the government in 2019 creating a scenario while it's all big business? Attracting even bigger business on top of the big business that they created. The fuck does that for us? Nobody asked you to do that. Come on. What the fuck? Why don't you just go cut down all our forests and blame that on cannabis too? The fuck? And I don't know, I bet if you surveyed the fucking people who came up with this program and control it and administer it, they wouldn't want their lives to be controlled by big business either. Who does? Yet this is what they've chosen to do. Why?
Well, one day it'll be your business.
Huh?
One day it'll be your business.
Yeah.
People ain't ever telling you.
Well, I challenge the industry to bring me some fucking weed. Bring it, you fucking chicken shits. You haven't yet. We know weed out here. People actually know weed. Who the fuck do you think has been consuming this that would even spawn the idea of it being a worthy industry? There's 2 million people admitted prior to legalization that they consume cannabis regularly. Yeah, when it was illegal, 2 million said that. I guess it was a survey. But, right, there's a lot of people know cannabis, and this is what they are presenting is not any good. Quit coming up with fucking excuses and that one wasn't too good. You're charging too fucking much money for any of it because it's not good enough. It's not high grade cannabis. It's not quality cannabis. You're going to call it premium because that's all you're thinking about is the premium price. Right? If and when you ever pull off crops that are okay. But you really should have learned and figured out how to grow cannabis before you mouthed off and got a license. And Health Canada knows nothing about it, give you a license long before they knew if you could even fucking do it. So why do you have to show all of this financial backing that you have? Who the fuck, why would the bank, in Ontario Lottery, you had to have a bank draft of 50 grand available to you? What fucking bank gives me 50 grand?
For a lottery ticket.
With no... Well, you walk into the bank and say, look, you know, and a further $250,000, that you get a $50,000 line of credit, and you have and then show that you can get another $250,000 to be applicable in this lottery. Now, how is this happening? Like, the bank is going, yeah, okay. Based on your no track record in the cannabis world whatsoever. Oh, you're the first guy, I guess is what TD Bank's saying. I don't get it. No fucking chance they're going to give me 50 grand and $250,000 backup to go and apply for a license. Can't imagine that the Ontario Cannabis Commission, whatever the fuck they're called, even looked. I'll bet they didn't call any of it and check any of the claims that have been made on their connections. They won't do it until you win. And once you win, Canopy Growth comes knocking a lot of money. Then you got your 50 grand, and then you got your 250,000. Right. Already. They announced everybody's name the next day. Do you think the Ontario cannabis clowns have looked into all these people already and checked on whether or not they've actually, how that's all gone? Happened very quickly. Canopy Growth would have called every one of them. Every fucking one of them. And so would every other LP. Right? Got time to move. Got time to do stuff. So what? There was a fucking LP. It had to be an LP robbed. Is that that's the case? There's an LP somewhere in Canada.
Ontario.
In Ontario.
Really near
Robbed at gunpoint. Armed robbery. Was it guns?
Yeah. One and
Went in and took a bunch of weed. But, as we looked at the story about it, a Norfolk farm, large quantity. One person was assaulted. That was on concession 14 in Townsend, Ontario.
oh, there you go.
You know. That LP.
That's my favorite
That
one.
name of
The
that
one?
company that is on concession 14
that's
in Townsend was robbed.
Sorry, but I hope this guy's
Right? But no, a marijuana growing operation, a legal marijuana growing operation. Well, so I'm not too sure what that is. It could be a legal medical marijuana growing operation. They spelled marijuana with a H, so that's a clue. Right?
What do you mean?
Well, that's from the cops, right? Cops spelled it with a H. So it must be medical marijuana, the legal grow. Well, that sucks. Well, that's, we kind of thought it was an LP, you know, when you just read the headline.
Well, it doesn't clarify.
It does not
It
clarify.
does not clarify.
So it probably is a medicinal grow as I look at it, because they didn't name the persons who's growing, really. It's a legal grow. So you don't want to tell other thieves any much more than concession 14. Concessions are pretty big in Ontario.
But it's not like cannabis is worth more than
Gold.
something else now. Now it's legal, right?
Well, same shit, different pile. Lots of people have been robbed for cannabis because of prohibition. They've made it worth the while for an armed robber to go into that grow and steal it.
The markup's bigger on legal, on stealing legal weed. It's
Could
more
be-
expensive normally.
Could be an LP, right?
Rob each other.
They don't have any weed, so they're out robbing. They got Health Canada to tell them where legal grows are all over the place, and they're out there going to steal all their weed and then sell it. Anybody who's got weed is suspect. Oh well. I got weed. Plenty of it. There's 4 different kinds on the pile. Big one is mango. I don't know. That's sweet skunk. That is Cindy 99, and that is Moby. These spinorama of strains today. And this is a combination thereof. There's a metal detectorist right there. Heavy metal detectorist. Well, that was Malmo. Let's see if he actually might end up in here. But yeah, I hear the doorbell now. So maybe. Let's see. David, what are you doing?
Just recovering, having a little break, and now that I've finished the Rasta section of the history exhibit. Are you on air?
We are on air.
Right on. Oh, geez Louise.
Got David here on a break. So you know how relaxed he can be.
Oh, jeez. It's like, it's hot out there.
You're working in the stairwell?
That's right. I'm improving the history exhibit. I finished off the 60s yesterday or a few days ago, and now I'm working on the 70s. Finished the Rasta section.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Truly,
in a week or two, the whole thing should be totally redone, better than ever. 150 new panels.
wow.
Yeah, it's a humdinger of a history exhibit.
Well, thrilling. It is a masterpiece. It was the first time and will be again, because David is a master at this kind of shit.
It's the remaster. I've been working on a history book called Reefer Madness 1895 to the Present. It's like a history of the bunk science around Reefer Madness. And
Wow, there's lots, eh?
there is, it goes way back, and I found a lot of interesting photos, images, paintings, sculptures, and I put them all, I put the best ones up on the wall here so you can come get like a preview of the book by reading the stuff on the walls in the stairwell.
Clever.
You know, we keep you coming back for more. You're walking down the stairs, you see something interesting on the wall. Oh, you don't have time to read it today. Well, it's here. It's free. Come, spark a joint. Take your time going up and down the stairs. It's great. It's a win-win. Everyone wins.
It's magic watching David actually do this, too, because he does it live, and there is a space and a story and the right panel, and he finds it and puts it there. It's fucking
Well,
phenomenal.
The stuff with the very small font, I try to get at eye level and work up and down from
With
there.
even more consideration.
Yeah, and then it's basically chronological order from the way back to the present, in order, small font at eye level. Try to maximize the amount of imagery, because we learn through our eyes. We don't really learn by reading as much as seeing. So, and we don't remember unless there's like a picture attached to it. So this is to help people remember their own cultural history, their cannabis culture history.
Huh? Well, wildly impressive.
You've been talking about the things that are new.
Yes.
What's news in the new?
Nothing.
It's these
Same
greasy-
old shit.
It's a greasy cartel represented by the MedMen, who South Park tore a new one with their advertisement. You see their Integrity Weed advertisement?
I did see that, yes.
Yes, we need more of that. If there are artists out there, do more of that. That's going to help save the world. Aside from like the caffeine argument and the teens need a safe place to smoke so they stop dying of suicides, car crashes, and drug and alcohol overdoses argument, the fuck the cartel argument, beautifully illustrated by artists and musicians and writers and people who can get a big audience.
Fuck the cartel.
That's going to help us defeat this horrible pot cartel that has arisen out of semi-legalization.
And we need to stand up and demand better weed.
Mm-hmm.
We want better, cheaper weed.
That's right. And we should also want hemp ethanol now. There's a climate crisis. Apparently all the forests in the world
first-
are on fire right now. And we could use cannabis as a fuel crop and use it as a carbon sink and get more of the CO2 trapped in the soil every year in the form of roots and leaves, and use hemp ethanol instead of gasoline. No more oil wars, no more oil spills, no more climate
that joint back.
destabilization. So yeah, we
That reefer.
oh sorry, I've been hogging it. It's not a talking stick. Darn.
Huh?
Oh, you know what? It's so good it distracted me because I got so high I forgot etiquette. What is that we're smoking here?
I'm a hemp ethanol.
It's the ethanol. Yeah, man. Fuel crop
Jet
and
ethanol.
fuel for your brain cells, man.
And ethanol.
Old ethanol.
Well, I was actually just about to wrap up when I saw you, so I'm glad you could pop by and give us an update.
Yeah, come on down to 307 West Hastings. Get yourself a huge dose, a heroic dose of history from our stairwell history exhibit. And you can play some beautiful video games in our arcade. You can shoot some pool in our pool hall. You can socialize in our lounge. It's like a community center for potheads.
Yes. It reflects cannabis, actually. What cannabis has brought. The dangers and the horrors that happen here.
It's our co-evolutionary plant partner, and this is the community center for that relationship. So come on down and utilize our resources and smoke our weed.
Do it.
Yeah,
Anytime.
anytime.
All right. Well, shout out to the stock market for kicking down some of this fabulous weed today. And go visit them at 3175 West Broadway and say hi. And thanks to Anil for being here, keeping us all in focus and on the level. And lit. Right? It's the services he provides.
Connected.
Right. Yeah. Good connection. And good to have David here, always. And do come down and visit here at the store and lounges. Watch everything on PotTV. And we'll see you next time. I'm Marijuana Man. Peace and pot.